For my topic, I chose to cover unplanned pregnancy. I chose this topic because I myself am the result of an unplanned pregnancy. I was born May 19th, 1992 to my mother Carrie, who had me at age 16. In this picture, I am about 2 and my mom is 18. Not shown in the picture is my mom's second pregnant belly, which was also unplanned. This pregnancy was the result of my mother not understanding that antibiotics made birth control less effective and not using a second form of birth control other than oral contraceptives. This topic is important because 1 in 20 American women goes through a similar experience to my mother each year. The rates are even greater for younger women, and nearly 49% of pregnancies in the United States are unintended. That's half of the women in our nation, just about. So, what are the options? When a woman finds herself in this position, she has 3 options. 1, terminate the pregnancy. 2, choose to put the child up for adoption. 3, raise the child herself. All these options take careful consideration. Not only are the options difficult to decide upon, but there is great controversy surrounding the topic, which puts the woman under even more pressure. The final decision should be up to the woman and the woman alone, but society doesn't seem to think so. Whether the woman chooses to have an abortion, keep the child, or to put it up for adoption, everyone has an opinion. Here in this picture, there are anti-abortion protesters outside of Planned Parenthood. They believe that they should have a say in what a woman does to her own body. What's interesting to note here is that these people are protesting Planned Parenthood, which provides so many other services other than just merely abortion. They offer family planning, which provides women with adequate birth control, which would hopefully help to keep the numbers of women needing an abortion lower. But people still view them as merely abortion clinics, which isn't the case. Being a teen mom has been stigmatized for years with no end in sight. If you choose to keep your child, you'll likely be judged and hazed for it. This image here says, "I'm twice as likely not to graduate high school because you had me as a teen." I can't remember a time where someone wasn't surprised when I told them that my mom had me at 16 and that she herself is now a successful businesswoman and that I have not only graduated high school, I'm about to graduate with my bachelor's degree in women's studies, and that I am also intending to go back to grad school for my psychology doctorate. So, given these facts, perhaps instead of bringing these women down, we should raise them up, give them the opportunities to rise to their potentials. Option number 1, abortion. The facts. Nearly half of the pregnancies in the United States are unintended, and about 4 in 10 of these pregnancies end in abortion. That's a lot of abortions. The majority of these abortions took place within the first 12 weeks of pregnancy. Abortion is a topic of great debate. Those who are pro-life argue against the availability of this choice for women in the position of unplanned pregnancy. What many pro-lifers fail to recognize is that despite the legality of abortion, women will still make this decision. It merely comes to an issue of safety. As licensed professionals cannot offer their services, women will find themselves in basement abortion clinics. Think Penny from Dirty Dancing and how she almost died because of the abortion she received. Abortion is thought risky by many, but abortions performed by licensed professionals in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy are actually safer than childbirth itself. Abortions can be received at family planning clinics such as Planned Parenthood. For now, anyway. Do you need to talk to someone about it? Programs like Pro Voice, created by Aspen Baker, are there to help. Pro Voice is a hotline for women to call into to talk about any issue they might be facing, with no judgment, only acceptance. With this topic, it's important to remember, your body, your choice. People may have an opinion, but it's their opinion. When asking my mother on how to decide what to do in the case of an unplanned pregnancy, she responded, saying, I suppose I would first say find a mentor who has nobody's interests at stake but yours and that of this child. Then, really go through all the options and how you would feel about each one and what life would look like if you made each decision. Sit on it, think about it, get connected to other people who have been there and will share their stories. Then, make your own decision. Don't let others make your decisions for you. There are a lot of resources to help. Seek them. Don't be afraid to ask for help. When I asked my mother about how she survived, she said a whole lot of help. She said it took an army. So, definitely asking for help is crucial. Option number 2, adoption. If you morally disagree with abortion or feel you can go through with a pregnancy but don't feel you are fit for raising a child just yet, adoption is a great option. This option is especially great if you financially can't afford an abortion or to keep the baby, as the adoptive family will typically pay all pregnancy-related expenses. Adoption is a beautiful, beautiful gift. Many families cannot reproduce but would like to have a family. By putting a child up for adoption, you are giving one of the greatest gifts humanly possible. There are closed and open adoptions. You can remain as close with your baby or as far away from your baby if you wish. There are hundreds of adoption agencies willing to help you find the perfect fit for your child. For my project, I watched the movie Juno. I chose this movie because the character reminded me a bit of my mother, and they would have been about the same age. Juno is an excellent depiction of a teenage girl discovering that she's pregnant, and then the trials she faces in coming to the decision of adoption. Since she chose option 2, I thought it was a good example to use for my project, as I already had someone who had chosen to keep the child. In the movie, Juno discovers she is pregnant and at first goes to get an abortion, but realizes that her baby probably already has fingernails and that she couldn't come to terms with doing that. So in turn, she ends up finding a family for the baby. She wants the baby to be with a family that is successful and that will love it, and she ends up finding such. When faced with this decision to make, many young girls are first afraid to tell their families. I think the way they depicted Juno telling her parents is pretty comical, as that's a little bit about how it went for my mother when she told my grandparents. They at first were really upset, then they turned to humor, they called her a dummy, and then they stepped in to help. This isn't the case for everyone, but I definitely think that some families would be more supportive than you may think. Option number 3, keeping the baby. My mother won't hesitate to tell you that her decision was difficult and that raising me was no cakewalk, but she will also tell you that making that decision wasn't nearly as difficult as it would be to live without me. Initially, I had been adopted, and my mom had 10 days before she could legally no longer take me back, but she, along with my grandmother, decided that they needed to keep me, and here I am today. Keeping the baby involves lots of dedication and determination. It's very time-consuming and expensive, but it also can be very rewarding. There are many trials to face, but a supportive network can make things easier. After talking with my mother and other teen mothers, I learned that a support network is crucial. In my research, I found Children by Choice to be a great source of information that has many tools to help women decide which option is right for them. They believe women should have the right and freedom to make their own decisions about their reproductive and sexual health, which I thought was great. So, how do we tackle such a vast issue? With nearly half of the nation's women experiencing an unplanned pregnancy in her lifetime, it's clearly an issue that impacts our nation as a whole. What can we do about this? Abstinence-only education doesn't cut it. While abstinence is definitely a way to avoid unplanned pregnancies, young women and men alike need to learn about contraceptives and sexual health. More counseling needs to be available to teens. Teens are starting to become sexually active more and more early. Having someone to talk to about it could make things different. I know for my mother, her getting pregnant was a result of a bad home life and acting out. So counseling could have made all the difference for her. Family planning clinics are crucial to lowering the rate of unintended pregnancies. Women depend on these organizations for more than just abortions. There needs to be an encouragement for the use of effective birth controls like the IUD or hormone implants. These require less thought and have a greater success rate than their counterparts. And most importantly, we need to support those women who do end up with unintended pregnancies. If we don't, the stigma surrounding this issue will continue and women will remain oppressed.